It's the finale we've all been waiting for, the culmination of Black Ops 6 Zombies. Let's break down what just happened and how those four are back. Welcome to the Reckoning.
Let's recap a bit, shall we?
There is a lot of information needed to understand this map fully, so let's go over some necessary background info first. Before Cold War's story, the director of Requiem, Edward Richtofen, was the target of an assassination attempt. Thanks to the new map, we now know the person who put a hit out on Richtofen. It was his old boss, a man named Kruger. Kruger was a CIA lead, but was working with the French syndicate in secret. Eddie's wife Mary, who was also Kruger's assistant, discovered his betrayal and began building evidence against him. Kruger found out and arranged for the hit, but lied to Gregory Weaver about who the real target was, Mary and not Richtofen. Weaver, with the help of Samantha Maxis, set fire to Richtofen's house and was unaware Edward was not inside, and instead killed his wife and son, all a part of Kruger's plan. Richtofen then made two decisions. First, he would get revenge on his assassins by trapping Maxis in the Dark Ether, and trapping Weaver and the Requiem crew in a prison on Terminus Island. And second, he would bring his family back to life through either time travel or cloning, no matter what. Richtofen's adopted father, Gabriel Kraft, was a researcher focused on the occult, and specifically the Sentinel artifact, a device that could basically grant wishes to those deemed worthy. Eddie was skeptical, but eventually hired a team to help locate it. At the same time, Richtofen created an AI contained in an identical chamber as the Forsaken, using Samantha Maxis' memories and personality. This was to use its intelligence and knowledge of Dark Ether powers to help control the stem of ether tears that were popping up around the Liberty Falls facility, specifically near the reactors. This AI, named Sam, started becoming sentient and wanting a physical body, and became resentful of Richtofen for not allowing it, but was largely held back by Samantha Maxis' memories of being very loyal. At the end of Cold War, we had to defeat the Forsaken and lock him inside of a containment chamber. He was a mutated Russian soldier named Zykov that got lost in the Dark Ether and consumed the power of Dark Ether gods to become very powerful. This containment chamber was then flown to Liberty Falls. At Liberty Falls, the lead scientist for the Energy Research Division, Pericles Panos, began hearing the voice of a mysterious benefactor, known to some as the Great Voice from the Beyond. This voice convinced Panos to start an outbreak at the Liberty Falls facility, as well as the town itself. The SAM AI chose her time wisely to break free of her constraints, and used the outbreak to betray Richtofen, trapping him in a temporal painting, which was being used to try and bring back his family. At the same time, the SAM AI was also helping the Requiem crew break out of Terminus, and convince them to go after the Sentinel artifact before Richtofen could get it. Maya joined them to save her brother, but he was mutated and ultimately put down by her. Richtofen's head of security, John Blanchard, called in a strike team to rescue survivors. Panos, who had become an ether ghost stuck in the Dark Ether, called out and got them to activate a simultaneous dimensional gateway. This gave Panos the power to switch places with the strike team, bringing him back and sending them to the Dark Ether. Blanchard saw this betrayal and began investigating, while Panos headed for the ether reactor. Back with the Requiem crew, they travelled to Citadel des Morts and then the Tomb to obtain the Sentinel artifact, which they then brought to the SAM AI back at the Liberty Falls facility. If you want to know more about what they did at each of those specific locations, I have videos breaking each down. I especially recommend the Shattered Veil video. There was a lot of hidden secrets in that map. The SAM AI takes the Sentinel artifact and then betrays Requiem, putting them in the same painting Richtofen was being kept in. They decide that Sam is a bigger threat than Richtofen, and break out of the painting using an object Richtofen had being overpowered by a ray gun Mark II shot. After fighting a T-Rex skeleton, reanimated by temporal energy, they agreed to head to the now melting down ether reactors that powered the town and research station, to stop the SAM AI from creating herself a cloned body that could harness Samantha Maxis' original ether powers. They arrived to the towers falling apart and breaking down. Richtofen confirms that the last of his family's DNA is kept in a fridge in mutant testing, and asks the team to guard that vial with their lives. Sam finally tells the truth about Samantha Maxis. She can't be saved and never could. She died, being reabsorbed into the Dark Ether after her fight with the Forsaken. It was just too much for her. Although this does seem very, very not true, but we'll see. No body, no confirmed kill. Once they reactivate the ether reactor, the facility stops melting down, and they begin to explore the area. They come across the giant containment device holding the Forsaken. Sam spent time torturing him, dilating time to the point that he was barely conscious, and spoke more like his Zykov self. Sam also learnt how to mimic the Forsaken, explaining why the announcer voice in Black Ops 6 is still the Forsaken. Sam has been in control of the zombies this whole time. Using an Uberklaus infused with a massive ether mushroom goo, the group transfer the Forsaken out of his containment and into its body, which begins to attack them in one last fight. They finally kill Zykov, and his essence and the goo form a wonder weapon known as the Gorgafex. A timeline branch then occurs when Requiem can either kill Panos or Blanchard to upgrade the weapon. They use the upgraded Gorgafex to get access to Tower 3, where Sam is hiding. At this point, there is a branch in the timeline again, depending on whether you help Richtofen bring his family back, or whether you help Sam gain a physical form. To do this, the crew insert either Mary and Samuel's or Samantha Maxis' DNA. If you help Richtofen, Sam will try and protect the Sentinel artifact, which begins a trial. Eventually she is defeated. The Requiem crew approach the Sentinel artifact and are absorbed into it. A giant beam opens up, and a galaxy pattern appears in the sky, similar to when Nikolai destroyed the universe before the reset. Richtofen watches as the prima materia from the artifact forms two new bodies, which turn into Mary and Samuel. If you help Sam, Richtofen climbs into an Uberklaus mech suit and fights back while the trial continues. The Requiem crew still disappear into the artifact, but the Sam AI starts shutting down as a new version of Samantha Maxis is formed. She smiles as her eyes flash from blue to purple, showing that her powers are still active. Which of these futures is canon is still unclear, but the fate of our Requiem crew is consistent regardless. The Requiem crew reappear at the reception of the facility. There is a corpse on the floor in front of them. They seem to be in the dark ether. From behind them, 4 silhouettes appear, and Richtofen's voice says,
Welcome to the party.
Our 4 original characters, Edward Richtofen, Nikolai Belinsky, Takeo Masaki, and Tank Dempsey, emerge. They are probably not Ultimus, the versions from World at War and Black Ops 1, nor Primus, the versions from Black Ops 2, 3, and 4, but some new or mixed versions. Richtofen is wearing a German uniform with a commander's coat, with fur on the collar. He has a hat similar to his Ultimus version, and a pencil moustache. Dempsey looks almost identical to his Primus self, with the aviator goggles. Takeo is probably the most changed, wearing modified samurai armor laced with fur. He has his hair down and a longer beard. Dempsey is mostly obscured, but has his short Ultimus hair. Right, time for the juicy info about where we're going next. This map showed us that Samantha Maxis, during the events of Firebase Z, did likely encounter this new version of the Primus crew. We really should think of a new name for them. Would love some suggestions in the comments. Intel from the Sam AI shows that the aviator goggles and the samurai sword she was found with were likely Nikolai's and Takeo's. She was also wearing a red scarf with the letter M embroidered into it. The intel specifies it doesn't stand for Maxis, meaning this is Dr. Monty's red scarf, seen in multiple maps in Black Ops 3 as well as on Monty himself. However, due to her state after coming out of the Dark Ether, Maxis likely doesn't remember any of them. Now that we know the Great Voice from the Beyond wasn't the Forsaken, and that the Forsaken actually uses the term Great Voice as a replacement for the word God.
By the Great Voice, I would not call it easy exactly, but now the student does become the master.
We know there is a being vastly stronger that may have also spoken to Zykov. This being will be detrimental in Black Ops 7, as it showed Panos a location from the future. In the next one or few zombies maps, as per Panos' vision, we will see a sprawling landscape shrouded in darkness, fields and a farmhouse, a sunken town, rustic and ravaged by age, a cabin overlooking a black lake, and a floating pyramid. The first part is very reminiscent of Transit, the launch map for Black Ops 2, but without the lava. Mist and fog is also mentioned, which was heavily utilised in that map. The floating pyramid is suggestive of the MPD, or Moon Pyramid device from the map Moon, and also Der Eisendrache. Although they don't float, it could make sense that Samantha Maxis was reabsorbed into the Dark Ether and put into this pyramid to regain her strength, just like how she was there in Moon as a child. The identity of this great voice, in my opinion, has 3 possibilities. 1. It belongs to a new villain that we don't know about yet. 2. It belongs to Cortifex the Deathless, the Dark Ether god from Vanguard, as we know he didn't actually die, and instead was thrown down into the depths of the Dark Ether, inadvertently being protected from the Forsaken's wrath. This option is unlikely now, in my opinion, given the unpopularity of Vanguard. And number 3, the most likely option in my opinion, it is Monty, the Shadow Man, or a merging of the two. Given how Treyarch have tried to nostalgia bait recently with more Ether story elements, and the hint of Maxis' scarf being Monty's, this option feels most fitting with the return of our original crew, similar to bringing back Palpatine in Star Wars. Let's just hope they pull it off a little bit better. We have also seen a tiny snippet of one of the maps from Black Ops 7, which shows a dark, foggy road with some sort of vehicle lighting up the way. This gives even more credence to the transit rumour. However, we still have no new breakthroughs on Ava Jansen, Samantha Maxis' biological daughter. She was sent into the Dark Ether in modern-day Liberty Falls, so maybe she will be seen in Black Ops 7. We know that the Requiem team eventually escape because Gray records a video for Ava 5 years after Black Ops 6 takes place. My slightly altered theory from the last video for Black Ops 7? We know that Gray isn't pregnant yet, as the Reckoning takes place in 1991. Ava is born in 1993 and then given up for adoption in 1996. So unless some weird time travel stuff happens that spits them out 2 years later, Gray's only chance to become the surrogate to Maxis' child would have to be on Terminus Island. So, the Requiem crew meet Ava, thus causing a paradox that deletes the MWZ timeline, and they continue to search for Maxis. I would suggest that the true ending of Reckoning is where Eddie dies and the AI gains human form, as that gives the writers another villain to face, as Eddie getting his family back means he just kinda lives his life with them. While this is happening, a merged version of all of the previous incarnations of the original crew are trying to stop a merged version of the Shadow Man and Dr. Monty, who is also the one that dragged Ava through the mirror. If you need a refresher on the OG crew and how their story fits into this new one, click here to watch the entire Zombies storyline in 35 minutes. For up-to-date and in-depth Zombies news that doesn't clog your feed, please subscribe and let me know what you think I should make next. If you made it to the end of the video, and to the end of Black Ops 6, leave a like, it helps a ton. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for Black Ops 7.